Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and today I'm bringing you 10 bad horror films that I still love. As a fan of the horror genre, I have sat through a ton of terrible, scary movies. But I have to say, there are plenty of bad, scary movies that I still have a lot of fun with and have earned a special place in my heart. And that's what these 10 films represent for the horror genre. So I had a lot of perceptions in my head of films that people didn't like, or maybe they were considered bad or cheesy. But a lot of the films on my list that I love actually are more just kind of like cult horror films. They're horror films that people don't necessarily know that much about these days. They're not talked about in the general conversation, such as things like Pumpkinhead or Candyman, which is great. So to determine what qualified as a bad horror film, I went to trusty Rotten Tomatoes and made it a qualification to make this list, to make my ranking and make consideration. They had to be at least rated rotten on the tomato meter. Also, this list is completely arbitrary. There is no rank to the list. These are just 10 bad movies I love. And I'm also not saying they're well-crafted movies or they're great movies by any means, but just kind of conceding that, I can see its flaws, but guess what? I still find a lot of enjoyment out of it. So let's go ahead and kick off this list, shall we? Being a 90s baby, Scream is one of my favorite horror films, period. And I never would have dared to put Scream on a bad horror films list because, no, you might want to check out my favorite horror films list to see how that one ranks. But there was another iconic 90s slasher that doesn't have quite the same reputation, but still holds a dear place in my heart, and that is I Know What You Did Last Summer. I think this is a fun slasher film, just straight up. I think it has a nice little fun mystery. It's just a really solid teenage thriller. And obviously I was the perfect age when it came out to see it and love it, especially coming off of the success of Scream. And it had all of the it actors in Hollywood of the time for my age demographic. We had Sarah Michelle Gellar, we had Ryan Phillippe, we had Jennifer Love Hewitt, we had Freddie Prinze Jr. So it all just was like, yes! Plus, I think that Sarah Michelle Gellar's character in here has one of the best death scenes ever. It's just like this long chase. It goes on for quite some time, but I think it's just epic, and I still think it is one of the cooler, more fun death scenes in any of the slasher films.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
Yeah, that's enough. That makes the list. Not gonna lie, I thought everyone just loved Jeepers Creepers, but seeing that 45% on Rotten Tomatoes solidified that it had to be on this list, because I love Jeepers Creepers. First of all, the demon guy is so cool, and the premise is really freaky and really awesome. Plus, the use of the song Jeepers Creepers is so good in this movie. I think it builds tension, it's super fun, I don't think it takes itself overly serious, and it has a really kind of dark, good ending. Again, I'm just shocked that not everyone loves this film. Like, what? I am kind of a sucker for the Final Destination series, and especially the first two. I think they are really solid, really fun movies. I think they have a fun, unique premise, they are exciting, and they keep you on the edge of your seat the entire film. Ali Larter is wonderful in everything, but she's in these first two and she's great in them. I'm putting the first Final Destination on my ranking. It has a rotten score. It just showed up on one of my friend's least favorite horror films of all time, but I think it's a lot of fun. Alien vs. Predator is just an awesome concept. Period. Point blank. Putting together two of the coolest designs in all of horror history and then making them battle it out. What? That's awesome. I will say the movie is a tad less fun and just a little bit ridiculous than I would have liked it to be, but I still think it is a solid action film as well as a nice little horror setting for the action to all take place. Plus, once we get the two different species battling it out, it gets really fun. Deep Blue Sea has the highest Rotten Tomatoes score out of any of the films that I selected at 57%. I know it's commonplace for people to just hate all shark movies that are not the original Jaws, but I think Deep Blue Sea is actually really solid. Plus we get Samuel L. Jackson in like an iconic shark death scene. Come on now. But on top of that, these Mako sharks are intimidating. It is really thrilling. It's really well animated, especially for when it came out. I just think this is a really solid shark thriller. Honestly, don't know why it's considered bad, because I think it's pretty good, actually. Bride of Chucky is probably my favorite Chucky film. There, I said it. Even over the first two Child's Play films, I love Bride of Chucky. And here's the thing. This doll killing people can be kind of scary, but it needs to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek. And this movie finally embraced the kind of ridiculous nature that I think Chucky should have. Plus, you introduced Jennifer Tilly in this awesome second female doll. Recipe for success. I think it is so funny. The deaths are gory, but also funny and entertaining. It's just everything that I want in a good Chucky film. Plus, I love a good comedy horror. And I think this ranks as one of the top comedy horrors of all time. I just love it. Speaking of small, ludicrous things, my next pick is Leprechaun. So this is definitely, like, the biggest stretch on this list, because these Leprechaun films, let's face it, we can all just admit, are completely ridiculous and C-level movies, if we're being real. But again, I watched this pretty young for the first time, and I thought it was really funny and fun. It had the perfect level of kitsch with the horror, with the comedy, plus it gave us, like, classic sequels, like Leprechaun in the Hood. Come on now, how does it not make this list? Anaconda was Jennifer Lopez's, like, actual first movie that was filmed, like, right before Selena was filmed. And I think it's pretty awesome. I think it's a fun adventure, like, creature feature thriller. I think Jennifer Lopez is great in it. Ice Cube is fun. Jon Voight is good. All the acting, really, is actually pretty solid. The snake looked good for most of the movie. So, again, it was another one. I saw it young, what can I say? I had a lot of fun with it, and I still look back at it pretty fondly. Who doesn't need a big ol' anaconda in their life anyway? And if you couldn't tell by my list thus far, I love a good creature feature horror. And that is why Lake Placid is on this list, because it's so good. I love Lake Placid. First of all, anytime you can get Betty White in a, like, horror film, I'm on board. I'm in. And then you have her as, like, this crazy cow lady? Wonderful. Right there. What is not to love? How can you not appreciate and love this film just for that? But it's fun. I think most of the banter is a good time. It does get a little bit over the board with some of that dialogue, but it's a fun banter throw. I think all the actors are into it. They all enjoy what they're doing. And the crocodile concept was just really cool. Plus, again, another one of these films that added enough humor and enough silliness in with the goriness and the crocodile eating people that it worked really well. Struck a good balance. So the final film on this list is Freddy vs. Jason. I'm gonna say it, I love this movie. I think it is super fun. I think it is pretty much everything I had hoped to get from this. Maybe I would have liked a little bit more one-on-one action between Freddy and Jason themselves, but it's kind of hard. And when we get it, it is so rewarding. Plus, I love seeing the humans' conflict of like, oh my, what do we do? We gotta pick a side. Plus, Kelly Rowland, yeah, her dialogue and acting was meh, but her little insults and shade thrown toward Freddy Krueger were everything. I loved it. And again, the common theme with all the films on this list, it struck the balance. It was fun, it was silly, it was funny, it was super campy, but yet it still kept those elements of Freddy and Jason, and it put them together. I loved how they had to get inventive on how do we actually make this work? Because it seems like the more logical pairing would have been Michael Myers versus Jason. But that would have kind of been boring, seeing two guys walk around like this for like an hour and a half. So we had to up the ante, and we got something really fun. So those are just 10 of the bad horror films that I love anyway. What did you think of my picks? Do you agree on any of these? Do you think that any of these are actually a really good time? And what bad horror films do you enjoy? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!